Hey folks, Doug Blake with Body Design University. Welcome to our weekly training tips. And today, let me ask you a question. Have you ever been accused of being a really good listener? See how I pose that? No, normally we get accused of not being good listeners at all. So what we're going to do today is talk about how to be a good or better listener. Now, remember, some of you are probably saying to yourself, I'm a great listener. I sit there and I look at my client. I listen to what they say, or at least I hear what they say. And that may be the case, but I want to give you three key things that you can do literally as soon as you are done listening to this video, watching this video, that you can put directly into practice. Please keep in mind this concept of listening, active listening, and being present when you're talking with people is an entire field of study all on its own. Obviously can't cover every single element, nor do we need to. So what I'm going to do is go over three key things to keep in mind. Now, for sure, if you wanted to, you could probably say that those three elements that I'm going to talk about can all be broken down into multiple fields or multiple rabbit trails of discussion, and I would not disagree with you. However, with that said, let's go ahead and take a look at those three sort of main general concepts that you can put into place immediately from today, just as a for instance. So the three key strategies for better listening. Now, before I hit this first bullet point, remember the difference between listening and hearing. We use them synonymously, but they're not the same, are they? Right? Hearing is a passive activity. In other words, you have no option here when it comes to hearing something. If you have an ear and your eardrum works, and the small little tiny bones, the hammer, the anvil, if they all work inside your eardrum, right behind your eardrum, and the nerves that connect those bones to the functioning areas of your brain that pick up sound and transfer it into whatever it is you're perceiving as noise, you have to hear. Remember, it's passive, it's physiological. You must hear things unless there's something wrong with the physicality of your listening apparatus, hearing apparatus. Listening, technically, on the other hand, is an active scenario. You have to actually hear something, but then be attentive to it. And that is our first key strategy. You have to actually listen. It's called attentiveness. Now, this is not easy for everybody. If you're a personal trainer, if you are in the medical field, if you're a teacher, if you're a coach, my goodness, coaching, that's what this is about. You have to actually listen to the individual. You have to actually be attentive. Now, there are any number of permutations that you can go off of with this when it comes to studying what exactly listening is. But for the most part, it's being attentive. Now, you know as well as I do that if you're training somebody, you're generally attentive to them, right? You're helping them with their dumbbell curls or their lateral raises, whatever the case is, you're being attentive, but that is not necessarily listening. Like I say, I can be doing dumbbell curls. I'm so focused on the individual movement that when my client says something to me, I hear it because my ears work, but I'm not really listening. And so listening requires attentiveness, okay? When I say attentiveness, that means that you have to essentially, for the most part, have to stop kind of what you're doing, especially if you're really focused on that one thing, and you have to now give your attention to the individual that is talking to you. Look, this is where all the nonverbal stuff comes in, right? This is where the eye contact and the facing towards this individual, all of those elements that we know are part of the non-communicative traits that somebody has when they're relating to another person. So number one, actually listen. That means you almost have to give yourself a smack in the face and go, whoa, okay, hang on a second. This person is talking to me. Now, we know this, by the way, if you're married, you have a boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the case is, got kids, come on, this is like critical that you actually put your attentiveness to the individual that is now talking to you. Have you ever had that happen where you're sitting there and you talk? I get it. probably more times than I care to admit to, where my wife would basically look at me and go, "You're not listening to me." And she's 99.9, well, 100% right. It's the nature of the beast because I'm focused on something else. I hear the vibrations from her vocal cords, right? And they hit my eardrum and I hear it, okay? But I'm not listening because I'm not watch. See what I'm doing is I'm moving and I'm attentive to that individual. This is what we do with our clients. We have to actually listen. We've got to be attentive. Number two, this is critical. This is probably one of the most important strategies to show somebody and to actually help you to be a better listener. One of the most important things you could do to show, first off, to show somebody that you are paying attention to them, i.e., number one, is to repeat back what they said to you. I mean, this is like communication 101. You got to learn how to do this. So if somebody wants your attention and they're speaking to you about something, one of the most important things you can do is simply repeat back what was said. We call this reflective feedback. So your client is speaking to you about, I was eating this meal the other day, and I wasn't really that hungry, and I started to feel a little bit of discomfort, and you're sitting there doing this going, wow, okay, that's interesting. No, that's not how you respond to it. A classic reflective feedback response would be, okay, so let me get what you're saying. What you're saying to me is that you ate something and it bothered your stomach. Well, what exactly was it that you ate? See, what I've done now is I actually listened to the content, the meat and potatoes of the conversation, which is I've eaten something, it bothers my stomach, or I was drinking something, eating something, and an hour later I felt a lot of energy. Okay, so hang on a second. Let me see if I get this straight. See, what I'm doing is I'm stopping the conversation, and this feedback, right? This reflective feedback now lets the person know, oh, the dude was actually really listening to me. Okay, so let me get this straight. You were doing A, B, C, and D, and then this happened? Okay, go on. Continue on. See, what I've done is I've repeated back what the individual said. It's two things about this. Number one is I showed the individual, right, that I was actually listening and I'm attentive. But guess what it actually did for me? It slowed me down to where reflective feedback actually helps the individual doing the reflective feedback. Don't be a faker on this. Don't be faking listening. That doesn't come across well either. So true attentiveness shows that you are interested in what they're saying, even though the topic of conversation may not be the most interesting to you. That's not the point. The point is that you listen and provide some feedback. So let me get this straight. You were walking your dog and ABC happened. Now, I might not necessarily be interested in my client's dog, right? But that's not what's relevant. The fact is that I'm giving this feedback to let them know that I was listening. I will now be thought of as a good listener. Number three, remove distractions. Look at this. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the biggest distraction that you have in your life today. And you know it's true. Okay. You need to silence if you're training somebody, you need to put this thing away. You need to put it away. Remember, I'm old enough to remember when these did not exist. Okay. And we trained people just fine. We engaged in human conversations just fine without these. These are more of a distraction than they are a help. And you know it's true. I'm not saying get rid of your cell phone. What I'm saying is that these, more than anything, have become points of distraction that show somebody that you're just not interested in listening to what they have to say. So remove distractions. The biggest one is a phone that's ringing. I have my ringer off all the time. In fact, it becomes a problem because people may try to reach me. But at the end of the day, I know that if I'm training somebody, oh no, that's turned off. What's another distraction? Think about it. Other people, if you're in a health club setting, you may have people coming in and trying to speak to you or ask you questions. Those are distractions. You've got to eliminate those as best you can. Now, just keep in mind these three things: actually listening, okay, reflective feedback, eliminate distractions. It's probably going to be one of the most important things that you can do when it comes to training your clients and allowing them, giving them the opportunity to talk to you in a way that helps them to know you're a good listener. And by the way, that's one of the most important things about being a coach. Personal trainers are coaches. If you don't listen and fully appreciate the gravity of the content of the information that's coming to you from your client, you simply can't. That's coaches have to have that so you can take the information, meld it around your head a little bit, and then make effective decisions on how you're going to respond to that individual. Look, it was 3 key strategies. Apply them in your training situation. Do it today, do it tomorrow, but let us know how you do with that. Just keep in mind, go ahead and subscribe if you haven't to our channel. Notifications, right? Little bell right there. You can just let us know if you like the videos as well. Please, feedback is very important. More than anything, if you have questions about a particular scenario, whether you're training clients or you're getting ready to train clients, please let us know. We're more than happy to do weekly trainer tips on those as well. Have a great weekend, and we will see you next week.